Ethiopia was never colonized, and it remains one of the poorest countries on the planet. Meanwhile, Singapore was colonized, and it is one of the richest countries on the planet. You can't blame colonization for all of Africa's problems. Africa has received around $2.6 trillion in aid since 1960. Put another way, this foreign aid is around 200 times the cost of the Marshall Plan that was used to rebuild Western Europe after it was devastated by World War II. If you took the Rose Bowl, which has a capacity of roughly 90,000 people, if you gave each of those 90,000 people a cut of that $2.6 trillion, they would each receive around $30 million. So why is Africa so far behind? What is so different between Ethiopia and Singapore? Well, one of the major factors is corruption. Africa remains one of the most corrupt regions on the planet. Meanwhile, Singapore is one of the least corrupt countries on the planet. And if we continue blaming this boogeyman of colonization forever and ever, Africa will never develop because the real problems will never be identified and...
Thank you. But fortunately, the real problem has been identified. Now, the reason for ODA, which is the Official Development Assistance for Africa, the reason why it was introduced in the early 1960s was because it was genuinely meant to build infrastructures, to build healthcare system for Africans. During the early 60s to the late 70s, it was grossly used in building road infrastructures, industrialization, so on and so forth. But then, in the 80s, the priorities began to shift. The West realized that these funds that was going to Africa was doing good for Africans. And then, they changed the old narratives. I'll tell you what. The foreign aid have been channeled into destabilizing Africa. It became a cost to Africa. The foreign aid that you talk about has been the one sponsoring terrorism and militant rising from every corner of Africa. Now, if you want to talk about what foreign aid has done to Africa, then you need to ask the CIA, what have they done with the foreign aid that was supposed to be used to develop Africa? They came into Africa solely to destabilize Africa, to remove powerful leaders and render Africa hopeless. Yes, my friend. We identified the problem. You cannot give a man tools for harvest and then at the same time tie his hand to his back. How do you expect him to use the tools that you gave him to do the harvest? The foreign aid has been a cause to Africa, not purposely because of corruption, but because where the aids were coming from are more corrupt than anyone could ever imagine. Foreign aid came from the roles of corruption. Then how do you expect it to be useful to its destination? When the mighty corruption meets the mini corruption, what do you expect? If you want to talk about Africa, make sure that you have lived in Africa for at least 10 years and you have read a lot of history about Africa. Then you will be inducted and be given the privilege to talk about Africa. You can't talk about Africa from afar because you have no idea. We know we have our challenges. We know where we've gone wrong. But you see, my friend, the foreign aids came in a road of corruption and it ended up being a cost to Africa. Please, stop sending your aids to Africa. It is not needed. Thank you for watching.